Hello, Virgo. Welcome to your mid-August 2019 General Tarot Reading Update. It's Raina here. I love doing updates because, and I also, when I would watch tarot readers, I don't really do that anymore, but when I used to, except for maybe one, but, or a couple, I would really enjoy those updates because you want to get that fix, right? At least that's how I felt. And it's really, you know, when I say fix, I mean kind of that encouragement. It's really something that I remember when I first started, I was so terrified that I was going to get all these bad cards because I really thought in terms of good or bad. And it's so different for me now. But, you know, part of the problem was when I would watch all these different tarot readers, this was years ago, some people do interpret things with a more negative mindset. And it really depends on the person who is presenting the information. At the end of the day, I just did the reading for Leo, and I got the first card I got was the Death card. Well, you know, the Death card can be very exciting. It can mean change. So let's see if I get the Tower card for you first. No, I got a card that's probably like Virgo, actually. Sorry I'm not, you know, I don't have the deck out in front of me. I'm actually, it's just easier for me this way because of the shape of my table. Okay. So what do we have here? We have the major arcana card we have is actually a very intuitive spiritual card. We have the High Priestess. But the heart of the matter is the Queen of Pentacles, and she is somebody very in touch with Earth, the Earth element. Actually, I'm thinking of somebody that I know. I don't know this person intimately, but I know her, who's a Virgo, and one day I was, we were, you know, it was some kind of a party, and I went a couple of blocks away to this park. I forgot why I was there, but I was just walking through this park, and she was, you know, she had been at the party, but she had her children with her. She had a couple of children, I think, and they were picking pine cones in the park. And she's a Virgo, and I remember thinking to myself, what a wonderful activity to do with your children. You know, I mean, there's just different types of ways to interact with your children. And I think Virgo parents probably love to, and you know, be the natural teacher, but taking nature as your teacher too, using the natural elements. I've never had children, and I have a moon in Virgo, so I just really appreciated that. And so when I see the Queen of Pentacles, the Queen can represent the mother, but it's like the Earth Mother, the woman who's in touch with her home, all the, you know, her possessions, but also the earth itself. So gardening, and being the queen of your castle, I would say too. You know, the term that came into my mind was crass materialism. How some people just throw money at things, and what they get is not necessarily that fulfilling. You know, the being natural to me, you know, I'm talking about hippies and everything, dirty hippies, but really, to me, that's authenticity. And there's something very rich about that. So, you getting that, and you reveling in that right now. Okay, so that could be what's going on. Now, this could be like Something perhaps being a working mother, going back to work. It's August for, I don't know how they do it in Australia because we have summer vacation. Do they have, I was thinking about this the other day, thinking about the time differences. In Australia, do they have like a 3-month period in the winter where they don't go to school and stuff? Or do they just go to school all year round? I'll have to Google that or something, right? But in North America, and I'm sure in Europe, although I don't know, but we have, because the United States used to be an agrarian society, so they really went by the seasons, the growing seasons, and so the school would start in the fall. But that's when the harvest happens. Okay, forget it. Okay, oh my gosh. So anyway, you might be becoming a working parent for the first time, and this may be why it's the significant card. Maybe you're starting a home business so that you can be with, if you have very small children and you want to have some kind of income or what have you, or some what do they call those things where you the Avon or the Mary Kay, where you're like representative, I don't know, you know what I'm talking about, a franchise, I guess, opportunity, something like that. But also, just don't forget something that could be very earthy. So if it's not just starting a garden, but maybe you are starting like a mini farm or something like that, where you're going to be, making a profit. It's, having a chicken coop, selling eggs, who knows? I don't know. In the past position, we have the 9 of Wands, which is a card of having one's boundaries up, wall up. So it almost, there's like some cards that suggest even like relationship issues. So I don't know if any of you have gotten pregnant. If you're a woman, duh. But it's interesting because what I was thinking too is that if you were in a workplace situation, Virgo, where you felt like you were constantly under siege, that 9 of Wands is really that sentinel, that's kind of like guarding his gates of his heart or something. And you may have said, you know what, I'm going to do things myself and I'm going to be at home. Maybe it's telecommuting, or what do they call it, flex time, where you cut your office hours and you're at home a lot more. There's another word for that, where you work from home, but you know what I mean, online, that type of thing. But I get more of an earthy vibe from this, not necessarily connected with technology. So and we got the fire element as well. So it is like entrepreneurial, yes. Because even this card, as the higher message, is the Knight of Wands. It's kind of like taking a chance and kind of being a maverick of sorts. Virgos in general tend to be rather cautious. If you have Mars in Leo, Mercury in Leo, Moon in Aries or Sagittarius, you're going to have a more independent spirit. And the fire element, which the Knight of Wands specifically is connected to Sagittarius, okay? I always connect it to Aries, though, because it seems like a warrior type of energy. So the fire signs are very independent. And you may be looking for your independence from, maybe it's just negativity of others. Perhaps you have undergone an upgrade. That was what came into my mind. And you are realizing the importance of positivity, not in a Hallmark way, but in the way that means that it can nourish you, not deplete you. Okay. And, okay, so I'm having no nails. Maybe I can, like, slide these puppies. Okay, what crosses you is the Ten of Swords. This is a card of betrayal. So any kind of betrayal, and again, with you being on your guard, it could have been even like coworkers that were jealous. I could see somebody being jealous of you because the typical Virgo is so efficient, so productive, so together, organized, that you put a lot of people to shame in that regard. And diligent, you know? And so maybe these people, I would say that they're probably more slackers, and you kind of make them look bad. And so, unfortunately, the people that are the most productive and efficient, and I would say specifically Virgos, sometimes get taken for granted. Because they are so unassuming, and they're not like, look at me, aren't I great? Like a Leo person might do, for instance, or any fire sign. I'm a Sun in Sagittarius, so I can kind of like joke about fire signs. But yes, Virgo's very unassuming and just wants to do the job. Doesn't want the drama, just wants to do the job and improve the circumstances. And some people do not think the same way. So they may have a tendency to be more drama creating and stuff like that. And they may have succeeded in getting you to quit. Or but especially if you felt this sense of unfairness, or being overlooked, being, not treated as you deserve to be treated, then this may be this may still kind of linger within you, that you felt not treated properly. And I would say that if you have been in some kind of romantic relationship with a fire sign, and Sagittarius is the kind of fire sign that you would go for, you may have felt betrayed by this person. And Queen of Pentacles, maybe you're a single mother and looking lonely, wanting somebody. But the Knight of Wands would say, look, this person was a player and you should have known better. I mean, I think it would have been that kind of thing, that this person never gave you any kind of indication that they were the type to settle down. So you can't really cry about it because you should have known better. And something like that, I put it in kind of a blunt way, but you know what I mean. But it's about really accepting the fact that this has happened, and not allowing it to linger. Oh, by the way, I believe that Neptune is retrograde right now, if I'm not mistaken, and that can actually make a person more realistic about whatever house that Neptune is transiting. And for you, it's transiting in its own sign, Pisces, which is your opposite sign. So that's the 7th house. So you may have found out or admitted a truth about your significant other. And that may have felt like very like betrayal. But if you really think about it, you'll admit that this person was never really committed. And so it really shouldn't have been much of a shocker. Well, here's a card that I would associate with that kind of Neptunian energy. The High Priestess, as the advice, is about going within, connecting with your higher self. it's such a stark contrast to the Queen of Pentacles, which is so grounded. This is about not just the evidence that's presenting itself to you within the five senses, but what is true for, what is the spiritual truth of this situation that you're dealing with. And what I think you're going to find is that you are, being called to do something different in your life. And you may feel a little bit shook, with the Ten of Swords. It's easy to feel a little bit off kilter, but it doesn't mean that you have to stay in that kind of place. You can move on and move on very effectively. And actually, with the outcome card, we have the King of Swords. And this is, to me, crystal clear alignment. Clarity of thought and total detachment. Okay. So sometimes this King of Swords can be a bit in his head and not emotionally connected enough. But he's the king. So that means that he has mastered something to the utmost level. And for you, this could be somebody who comes into your life, I suppose. Maybe you kind of, I was going to say conjure them up with the High Priestess. But yes, maybe you realize the type of person that you really need. King of Swords could be any air sign. Gemini is the one that I think appeals to you the most. You're both mutable signs and you're both ruled by Mercury, so you have that mental rapport. But there's also Libra, and which is your adjacent sign, and there is Aquarius. And in any case, being able to move on from something that may have felt very, not just disappointing, but disheartening. The Ten of Swords is a card of feeling stabbed in the back. I always say metaphorically because it's just, I don't even like to utter those words. But when that happens to a person, when a person feels betrayed, that can really feel, that can really trigger negative emotions, because let's face it, it's a terrible thing to feel. And yet this happens in life. It just is a fact of life that people sometimes trust in somebody. And I think with the Nine of Wands, what is so egregious is that you already probably had trust issues and then somebody did this again. So it's really about, when the High Priestess, when you get in touch with your higher self is that part of you that is always connected to God. It's unshakable because it is not part of this this material dimension. It's always in that state of total bliss, total connection with God. When you don't have a connection with God is when you start to really do your own thing in a very egotistical way, and that leads to just a lot of delusions of grandeur, how far you can get materially. I'm always amazed at how far people can get materially without having a spiritual connection in life. It's possible to get pretty far without having a belief system like that. But what, is the enjoyment of life present also? It's all part of the package. So it's something worth thinking about. Because you're an earth sign and because you're ruled by Mercury, some of you may be, natural skeptics. I'm sure a lot of you are, in terms of anything that can't be proven scientifically or even just through your own personal observation. And, you know, the idea of trusting in the unseen may seem like just a bunch of new age poppycock, right? And I think that that's healthy to some degree, of not just jumping on some bandwagon and believing anything. But by the same token, you can go too far in that direction too. So it's just about, you know, seeing yourself at a different, more subtle level. And then being able to move forward with that kind of clarity that doesn't allow your emotions to kind of keep you trapped in the past. Okay, that's how I'll put it. And by the way, happy birthday. Did I say that already? I should have. And I hope that you have a great solar return. For some of you, this is going to be in September, and I will be doing tarot readings and astrology readings for that as well, so stay tuned. And if you'd like a private reading, maybe to look at some of the themes in the year ahead. Natal chart interpretation, just the transits. Check me out. I'm at rainamoonastrology.com. The link is below. Take care, Virgo. Bye.